welcome back to The Perspective. 150 richest Indonesians. Now, this is, you call this the most comprehensive list of wealth creation in the country, in Indonesia. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, why we call it comprehensive is because I think the number of people on our list is 150. I don't think any other publication has that number. And what we do, of course, is also because we have such a large number of people on our list, we comb through a huge amount of data across the industry, across business sectors. It's not just the top 20, but even the person who's at the 150th could be someone in Surabaya or Medan or Balikpapan who you've never heard of.
Just how exactly have you managed to collect all this data, Shoeb?
Well, over time, what we do is, this is not an effort that is a one-off, right? Yeah. We continue, this is a continuous basis. So whenever we interview a businessman or an entrepreneur, we already start collecting data on that company, on that business, and then of course we record it in our database. We talk to a lot of people on the ground. And of course, we also comb through financials. So of course, if you're a listed company, we will take note of your company.
Activities in the boards.
So basically, the way we look at it is we have a method of evaluation. If you're a listed company, it's very easy. Your net worth is reflected in your share price. And then we just look at what is your...
It's one of the indicators.
Well, it's one of the indicators, right? And then we look at how much of the company do you own, what percentage of shares do you own. That's quite easy. Where it gets difficult is when the company is not listed, but it is huge. There are a number of such companies in Indonesia, privately held companies such as the Wings Group, for example. It's not listed.
So there's more research and more work on companies that are not listed, obviously.
Obviously,
and you've spread the human resources, what human resources you have into looking into this.
Absolutely. So what we do is we take what we call a price earnings ratio model, where if this company was listed, how much would it be worth? So normally within the industry or the sector that the company operates, there is already a standard. So we apply that standard of what we call valuation.
So what is your first take when you look at your 150 richest Indonesians this year? What changes aside from the sector, which is shifting to new industries? What are the other trends that you're looking at in the list this year?
Well, I think one thing that really jumped out is that a lot of the businesses that are on our top 10 list, they're roughly the same. Because once you get to a certain size, it's unlikely that someone is going to come in and take over your position. So it's just a moving up and down. Today, this year you may be number 3. Maybe next year, if you do well, you could be number 1. Or you might fall, right? So if you look at the list, really the top 5 or the top 10 have stayed very steady over the last 5 years. And that is the reason because they have managed to build certain capacity and certain size within their industries, and they're across many industries. So if you look at the Salim Group, for example, they have done very well in food, but they're also in plantations, they are in infrastructure, they're in many industries.
So they thrive in different disciplines, not just one sector.
Exactly. So it will be very difficult to knock them off their perch, really. Right? It's just a matter of how well they do in any given year. But there are some companies that have actually increased their net worth significantly. How do they do that? Because of expansion, acquisition, and that is reflected in the list.
Now, what makes this top 15 or top 20 the resilient ones in facing economic headwinds, or is it just because they've planted their feet on multi-sectors, or are they any other reasons of why they remain to be the top they are now?
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. One of them, of course, is that they're very well diversified. So if one sector gets hit, for example, if the commodity sector gets hit, they still have revenue from consumer, from financials, from infrastructure, logistics, so all that plays out, right? So diversification is one. But I think also importantly, the management of these companies is very sound. And I think a lot of the owners, because remember, these are basically still family-owned businesses. Even though they are listed, they're still largely family-owned. Yeah. Two things have happened. One is that they have learned the lessons from the '98 financial crisis. Yep. So they are a lot more cautious and a lot more prudent in their financial management of the company. So it means they may not borrow as much. They look at internal revenues to drive growth. And secondly, there has been a very smooth transition in accountability and in management of this company. So you've seen the first generation move to the second, and now moving to the third generation.
We'll talk about the third generation after the show break.